Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is JDev Certified, and today, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to show you a unique A execute here on Mirage. Now, I understand that this is the second time I've done a video like this, and it's really only Mirage this far, but I do plan on, just exploring things on other maps. It's really just when I happen to find something, I'll post it. And so, yeah, this is going to be a unique A execute on Mirage. This is not an execute that I've seen before. It's possible I'm out of the loop or something, but I don't think I've ever seen something like this before. And this is an execute that I'm coining the smoke wall execute. On Nuke, the outside smoke wall is quite popular. Smokes can be used to cut off entire parts of the map or split areas down the middle, right? And I've always wondered why strategies like this weren't used for just normal bomb sites. I've only ever seen a smoke wall used on Nuke outside. So I thought, let's see if we could get something like that done on the A side of Mirage. So for this execute, this is going to be a 4-step execute, and it's going to require all 5 players on the team to participate on the T side. As far as what you're going to need for this execute, you're just going to need utility on all players. Honestly, I'm not even kidding. If you have the utility, if everyone has the right utility, you honestly could pull this off on a low buy. It would be a little more difficult, but it actually is quite possible. You don't necessarily need rifles to get this done, because most of the important engagements that you're going to have are going to be close ranged. I'm just going to have a rifle out for demonstration purposes. Okay, so you're 5 players, right? This is not a strategy that is spawn-based at all. It's not spawn-based at all. But I'm going to be going off of it as if you're playing off of spawns. But yet again, it's not a requirement. You can just decide who does what based on each player's role. So you got player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4, player 5, right? So let's start with step 1. Step 1 is player 5 is just going to get to top mid behind the boxes, right? Super easy. Make sure that they have a smoke and a flash. Player 5 is going to need a smoke, flash, and a molly for sure. All 3 of those utility pieces are required. So off spawn, this is step 1 of the execute. Player 5 is going to smoke top mid. So I don't know if you saw that lineup right there, but it's super easy. You just get lined up with the trash can here, aim at the top of this antenna, and just normal throw, right? Super easy. Run with your knife out. That smoke's going to be down. Just throw a flash above. It's just a good thing to do for the cross, because you don't necessarily want to get spammed out. And flashing the guy in the window on the cat, maybe if someone's out con, right? It's just a good deterrent to keep people off of spamming that smoke when you make the cross. So as soon as you're over here, I would say be quiet, right? I would say you don't necessarily need to be making steps, because just because you've thrown this smoke and you've thrown this flash doesn't really mean that you're there. I mean, well, that's not true, because they might have heard your footsteps if there's a guy out con, but the window guy and the cat guy can't hear that. So I don't know. I would just stay quiet, kind of play your life a little bit. You don't necessarily need to be peeking out and taking fights. Like, your only job really is to just stay alive here. There's one more piece of utility you're going to throw later down the line. But really, your only job is just to be here and to really make the mid players think about it, and just kind of establish mid control, passively, of course, passively. So step 1 is just making sure that guy gets out here solo. If that guy gets out here, and the timing of this isn't very specific, it's really not specific. You want to get here by a certain point, but you'll see what I mean by that later. But really, just as long as you're doing it at the beginning of round, not a big deal at all. Just make sure that happens. Next, let's deal with players 2, 3, and 4, because they're going to work together on actually executing on the A site. They're the ones with the important smokes, which actually is step 2 of the execute, is throwing the smoke wall. Yet again, this is not something that I've seen before. It's entirely possible that this is a real thing and that I'm just like tweaking, but I really don't think I've seen this before, and it's interesting, so here you go. So all of these smokes are going to be thrown at the same time. Now, my suggestion is that you do these, like, you have players 2, 3, and 4. I suggest that you have the player closest to ramp go for the farthest smoke. That way the timings are best, right? So, like, player 2 would go right here, player 3 would go right here, and then player 4 would do the stair smoke. Yeah, everyone knows the stair smoke, right? And by the way, you will be throwing all 3 of these smokes at the same time, so you'll need to coordinate that with the clock or with comms. Okay, I somehow managed to miss the stair smoke. Literally one of the easiest smokes in the entire game. I actually just managed to miss it. Okay, that's the actual stair smoke. I don't know how I missed the first one. Yeah, not this smoke. This smoke right here. Yeah, you're smoking off stairs. Everybody knows this. If you don't, that's the lineup. You just saw it. Have fun. Okay, now for the 2 new smokes. These are smokes that I came up with, so forgive me if the lineups aren't like the best. But so for player 3, they're going to be throwing the sight. I'll go with the sight smoke. This is going to be part of the smoke wall, of course. This is the most specific lineup, the most annoyingly specific lineup, I'll say. So essentially, you're going to go up top here, and you're going to get up close to this wall, and see this chip in the wall? It's kind of like a chip. It's a bit deeper than the rest of the erosion, right? This chip in the wall, see that? And then right here, there's a gap in the erosion, right? You have a little strip here, and then you have the rest of it. You're going to kind of aim to press yourself against the wall in the middle of these 2. I know that's a little annoying. If you want to see exactly where I'm aiming when I'm getting up to this wall, it's like basically right here, kind of like to the right of the dent, right? But I'm between the chip and the dent, right? So as soon as I've gotten that there, I've pressed my face against the wall. I'm going to pull out my smoke. I see this lamp here. Right here is the, we'll just call that the lamp dot, right? So you have lamp, and then you have one level, 2 level, 3 levels. So you see the like gaps in the brick, right? So you have level 1, level 2, level 3. On the 3rd level, on the corner, there's a little blemish here. It's a little dark blemish. You're going to aim at that. You're going to pull out your smoke. You're going to jump through. And what that should do is it should land on triple and roll off and land right there. And you're going to see that this smoke is going to do 2 jobs. It's going to block off CT when you're coming off a ramp. And when you're crossing from default to triple to go clear out CT or to deal with con, this gap is also going to be dealt with. So you don't have to worry about con or jungle there from the actual site. So that's the first half of the smoke wall. Player 3 preferably is going to be throwing that. Player 2, this is your leftmost player other than the palace guy, which I'll show in a minute. He's going to be throwing the other half of the smoke wall. So you're going to wrap around here. By the way, just make a note of the fact that it is entirely possible. Like, no execute is perfect, right? Everything's going to be a little gambly, right? If CTs decide to get super aggressive and you're not paying attention, they could absolutely just full push ramp and get the better of you if you have your smoke out, right? Just keep that in mind. I don't necessarily have a counter to that. That's just something to note. That's not super common. That doesn't really happen, especially at high levels. So just be aware of that. But yeah, basically you're going to wrap your way around, and you're going to position yourself with this strip here to the right of the 2 windows, right? So you're going to position yourself there. And then right here, I don't know if you guys can see that, but right there, the the gap between the bricks is pretty eroded. I like to describe this as a bit of a tree shape, right? I don't know if you guys can see what I'm saying, but a bit of a tree shape. At the root of the erosion, so right here where my crosshair is placed, at the root of the erosion, you're going to pull out your smoke, jump through. And funnily enough, when you see that in the nade cam, if you were to throw that, that's a little weird. I don't know if that's right. Hold on. Let me throw that again because that was a little weird. Sorry about that. But you get the idea. That almost looks like a miss smoke. If you're from the CT's perspective, it looks like someone tried to smoke jungle and just whiffed. But in reality, that is the other half of the smoke wall, right? The tree, jump throw. Wait for that to land. Okay, that's better. Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to land. I guess I just was a little off that time. But you see what I mean, right? So, like, for example, I can show you what this looks like when the smoke wall is up. You guys know what the stair smoke is like, so I'm not going to throw that again. But if I'm positioning myself right here, I'm throwing my smoke here, and oh, I didn't do that right. Hold on. Sorry about that. Okay, so I've thrown that. Let me get in position to throw this wall, and then I'm at the root. Okay, let me just rethrow the last grenade. And then jump through that. I'm gonna wait. I'm stalling. Okay, yeah, that's what that smoke wall is gonna look like, and obviously stairs is gonna be smoked as well, and that's gonna. Yeah, I forgot the fact that the stair smoke actually does deal with this weird gap here. So yeah, you'll have a complete smoke wall here. You won't have anything to worry about as far as anything past that. So that's step 2, is throwing those 3 smokes. And you want to throw those simultaneously, all at the same time. So coordinate with the clock or with the comms. Make sure that players 2, 3, and 4 are throwing those smokes at the same time. And you are just going to kind of stall. Me peeking into ramp is not actually what you're going to do there. You're basically just going to fall off. So like player 2 will fall off here, player 3 will fall off here, and then player 4 will just kind of step off the step here. And you're just going to kind of position yourself. So like ramp guy is going to be positioned right here. He's going to be ready to peek. This is your player 2, right? He's going to position right outside. This guy's going to position a little more here, and then the last guy's going to position back here. And there's a reason for this far back of the positioning you'll see later. But yeah, that's step 2. So you've got your guy out mid, and you've thrown your smoke wall. So now you're going to be throwing 2 pieces of utility in combination. You're going to be throwing a molly, and you're going to be throwing a flash. So the first, and these, I have these put as being at the same time. It's more a general thing. I don't think you would necessarily need to do clock coordination on this. You can tell me in the comments if that was something you found you needed to do, but I don't anticipate that being the case. But player 3, right, the guy who threw this smoke right here. So you've got a guy up front ready to peek. I'm back here, and then there's a guy back here, right? If you're the guy in the middle, you're going to be throwing a ramp flash. I don't really have a fancy way to get this done. It really is just a matter of throwing a flash so that this guy, if there's someone who's aggressing on ramp like this, they have to either turn away or, go blind. Either way, you're just throwing a flash to deter someone off of that angle. And at the same time, and I say same in quotes because they don't necessarily have to be the same. I mean, it's probably convenient if those 2 are at the exact same time, if these 2 pieces of utility are at the exact same time, but I don't think they need to. So at roughly the same time that the ramp flash is being thrown, the mid guy is actually going to reveal his location because you're about to molly window. I'm sure there is like a typical lineup for this, but the lineup I like to use is, see this box right here? You're going to back up on the back wall here, and you're going to line up with this line right here, so right in the middle of the boxes. Then see this antenna right here? You're going to aim at the intersection point between the cross or between the slant and the pole. You're going to aim at that, and then halfway between the slant joint and the cross beam, so about right there, that's when you're going to release the molly. So like this, and that's going to molly window. So just keep in mind, at this point, mid guy, you have thrown your smoke, you have thrown a flash, and you have thrown a molly. And because you threw that molly, they 100%, or because maybe they had someone in Valley, they 100,000% know that you are here. They know for sure that you're here. So something to keep in mind is if this is a low buy round, you're kind of in a position where you're like, well, let's hope for the best, because you kind of have to worry about a lot. You are just a guy to be somewhere taking map control. You have to worry about the B-apps push. You have to worry about the con push. You have to worry about window until you throw that molly. You have to worry about underpass. You have to worry about cat. Like, you have to worry about a lot of things. And so just kind of play it by ear. Maybe stay put. Your teammates later in the round are probably going to tell you what they need from you, because they're going to take site control. They're probably going to get the bomb plant. And so it's really just going to be on you to be that X factor. Someone's going to tell you. If, for example, you're playing in a pro team and you are not the IGL, your IGL insight is probably going to tell you what to do here. So just keep an eye out. Keep in mind, if this is a full buy round, it really is up to you whether you buy a flash or an HE as your fourth piece of utility. I personally recommend a flash because I think you can do a lot more work with it, right? You can actually get someone off cat here, kind of. Here. That's a better one. You can flash someone off cat, you can flash someone off con, kind of. You know what I mean. Like, you can just play it by ear, see what you want to do here. Just don't be too frantic about it, right? Also, something to keep in mind is when you do throw that molly, I'll throw it one more time. When you do throw that molly, you definitely want to do a bit of a peek out here just to see, right? You're not really, like, worry about the guy pushed that con, but you're really trying to see if someone in window jumped out to underpass or into valley, because that is super important. As you'll see later, knowing whether or not this window guy went back to jungle is super important. Granted, you can't always know, right? You cannot always know. He could have gone ladder, he could have gone, or they could have put no one window, right? It's all possible. So really don't stress about it. Just play it by ear, play your game, right? But mollying window will be important. The hope is that someone was playing window and are mollied out and flushed back to jungle. That's the hope, based on what's about to happen. So yeah, ramp flash, window molly happening roughly the same time. So now you're going to get into the final stage of the execute. Because at this point, right, since we've thrown this ramp flash, player 2 is going to be peeking out, taking this fight if it's there, taking a fight onto freaking Tetris in case someone's jumped over, right? Might want to worry about sandwich. Sandwich is something to keep in mind. It's not necessarily a priority, but it's something to keep in mind. Now, here's something I wanted to show you guys. So, dark. A dark player is going to be a big concern in this strategy, right? That's going to be a bit of a problem. And by the way, if someone is peeked out, you'll deal with that, but you'll figure it out, right? P2 guy, player 2 is going to be, if you are deciding not to play off spawns, and you feel that you have someone more capable, like player 2 is your entry, right? Player 2 is your entry. He's the guy that's going to run in and just peek. He's going to be good with the angles and peek angles. So yeah, the last step of the execute, and something I wanted to show you real quick, is dark player is going to be a problem. So if I try to molly this as one of the 3 ramp players, right? Check out what happens. So I have all of my smoke walls, right? I have smoke wall, smoke wall, smoke wall, right? All of that's smoked, right? And I don't really want to dip in my smokes. I mean, I can. That is actually a strategy you could use if you wanted to. I hadn't really considered that until now. You absolutely could dip into the smokes. But it's not really the design. So dark guy's going to be a problem. Here's the issue. If you're a ramp guy and you want to molly out dark, see, that molly is super effective. The problem is that you've blocked yourself off. Because of the way this molly extends, it extends into your lane so that you basically have to wait here. And waiting is not something you necessarily want to be doing with a strategy. You want to kind of catch the CTs off. And so that molly isn't preferable. So in order to deal with this issue, this is where everybody is going to be pooling their resources into helping the Palace player while the Palace player helps you. So one thing I wanted to cover is off the rip, right? Say you have your furthest left spawn. This is player 1. Player 1 is dipping into Palace. I suggest not running. I suggest walking, because your whole job is going to be clearing Palace. This position is very important, very important. It's not impossible if this guy dies, But this guy is very important to this execute. So you're going to be chilling, waiting for a, seeing if there's a push, right? Now, I will say this is where this execute definitely gets a little gambly, is your Palace player, based on the timing of the window molly and the ramp flash, is going to be playing a timing as well and is going to be throwing a piece of util. And yet again, that guy could totally have his molly out. Player 1 could totally have his molly out. I'm a CT, and I'm just like, oh, peek. The hope is that as player 2 is coming out to deal with some of these angles, right? If someone is playing on Palace Balcony here, they're having to worry about that guy. And hopefully we'll lose this duel, right? That's the hope, right? That's the hope. If this guy somehow has sat here the whole time, the hope is that he has to worry about what's happening at ramp. So you're going to be throwing a molly on timing, and that specific molly is going to be the dark molly. So in order to throw this, you're going to pick this second pillar here. You're going to nuzzle yourself up to this corner. You're going to kind of peek out until, you don't have to do this specifically, but like make sure you can't see that light there, right? And then you're going to be aiming at this line right here in the wall. You're going to turn to your left. Right here on this kind of lamp corner thing, you're going to aim at the top. You're then going to run toward it, and this is very specific. You're run toward it, and as soon as this, not as soon as, but like once, this corner of the pillar is out of view, that's when you're releasing. So let me show you what I mean. I'm aiming at the corner. I'm running toward it, out of view. See? Okay, I didn't even do it right. Yeah, one sec. You might have to go a little deeper, because keep in mind this molly is a bit finicky. I definitely suggest going a little deeper. I didn't even think about that until now. Out of view. Okay, why am I missing this? Hold on. I promise this works. I've done it a million times. Someone knows this molly. You can look up this molly. This is literally a Nard out here molly. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm sure someone will be able to teach you better than I. It's literally just the dark molly from Palace, right? But that's going to molly that. And the advantage is that the extension isn't far out like this molly is, right? The extension doesn't bleed into your lane. And so it gives your player 2 and player 3 the opportunity to simply fight this guy. So yeah, sorry about missing that so much. There's literally, you could literally look up Nard out here, Palace, dark, molly, and you would get a better tutorial. That's the one I learned it from. It's just a matter of, you know, doing it better than I've been doing it. So yeah. Yeah, see, I can't do it today. Promise it works though. That's not my molly. Okay, so at the exact same time, this is one that you might want to do a little bit off timing. It just kind of depends. I mean, it's not like the craziest thing in the world, but you know what I mean. While that molly is being thrown, players 3 and 4 are going to be throwing 2 different flashes. So player 2 has already peeked out and is starting to clear some angles. At the same time that this is happening, player 3 is going to be throwing a jungle flash. It doesn't have to be necessarily this specific, just as long as you are effectively flashing jungle, right? As long as your flash is getting into jungle and is flashing someone off of a jungle angle, right? As long as that flash hits, then you're doing it right. The guy behind him, this is the same guy that threw the stair smoke, hopefully. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but hopefully, is going to be throwing a CT flash. So this line right here is the line you want to aim above. I personally like aiming right here, where you kind of have that like split thing going on. I like to throw that flash. And this is going to flash CT, as long as just some other rogue angles that people might be playing. But this is primarily designed to flash CT off of an angle, right? And the primary purpose of those flashes isn't even to support your ramp players. By the way, as soon as you throw those flashes, you want to just kind of, book it out ramp and get to the bomb plant, right? But the purpose of those flashes is actually to allow the Palace guy to peek out. I don't know how best to communicate this, and I don't really feel like throwing the smokes again, but I promise you that as the Palace player, even if you didn't have the jungle flash, you actually do have an advantage on this guy, because you can see him way better over the smoke wall than he can see you. So that's something to keep in mind, but you're just getting a ramp or a jungle flash to support that because, you know, flashes come in abundance. Why not, right? Why not get a little help? So your primary focus off rip is the jungle guy. You either want to kill the jungle guy or ensure of him leaving, right? You want to make sure that happens. Assuming that you have cleared jungle. And by the way, if you do want to throw a smoke here, you can. You don't have to, but you will have a spare smoke. Assuming it is a full buy. On a low buy, you're going to know not to buy a smoke, right? Because that's just money to save. But assuming this is a full buy, you could smoke this. It's entirely up to you, but you don't have to. You could just win your duel or deter him off the angle. And then immediately you're going to go into a CT peek because that was also flashed, and you're just gonna. Your job is jungle and CT. Your job is just ensuring that those angles are clear, right? So assuming all of that has gone to plan, you've completed all 4 of those steps. You should be able to get into sight and plant for triple. Make sure you're being wary of CT. Palace guy might be able to take care of that, but just be careful of that. Also note this gap right here is the most dangerous in this execute because you do not want to get to the point where you do all this work and there's a guy CT and you get bloodthirsty and you chase and boom, you're dead from cat or con or jungle or a million other places, right? Just be aware that this gap is here. Also, one thing I want to note is you don't have to plant triple. You absolutely can to plant default or even out in the open if you feel like it, because that smoke wall is going to be active. CT is going to be covered. Also, that smoke could go here if you wanted, if you're Palace guy, because Palace guy's going to own the only smoke, right? Because we've already thrown 4 smokes in the round. Palace guy's going to have it. It's just kind of up to him or the IGL or whatever to decide based on feel or based on duels being won or lost, which smoke you want to throw, or you could just hold your smoke or just not buy one, right? It's really up to you. There's a lot in this strategy that you could play by ear. But the whole purpose is to create this smoke wall, to cut Mirage in half, to create this interesting pathing into the site that really is not seen anywhere else. And yeah, so with all that being said, don't forget you have your mid guy to support you in this area. And once the smoke goes down, I don't really have a suggestion for a post plant. It just becomes a standard T post plant on the A site. And you need to just kind of play that beer based on the duels you're winning and whatnot. So yeah, with all that being said, best of luck. If you did find this interesting, please post it or share it with someone or let someone know. My ultimate hope is that a 5-stack will actually use this, right? This is definitely not something you're going to be able to call in pugs. Like all 5 people need to be on board and know the utility, right? But yeah, this is, if your stack happens to use this, let me know how it goes. I would really love to see if someone does use this and if it went well, if it went terribly, if you think I suck at this game, then, you know, let me know. And if you did enjoy, or if you didn't, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. This is Jay out.